Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plan B Success. We have Paul Huber with us, all the way from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And Paul is a computer engineer, works for a known aerospace and defense company, I believe. We'll find out about that. But he has written a book, Killing Complacency. It's about ambition, it's about drive, it's about how do you kill complacency to go after what you seek. Now, that's a pivot from what Paul does for a profession, and we'll find out how that book came to be. He's also in the process of putting a study guide together, as well as his learnings for 2021, which we will find out in a minute. So welcome, Paul.
Yeah, great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm just kind of a average guy from the Midwest and started my career 20 some years ago. I've lost count. I mean, it's over 20. So, I mean, that's good enough for a count, right? And I've been doing real-time embedded distributed systems for all of that time, either as an engineer or developer or a leader in the organization. And that's still my day job. That's plan A. And I spend a little bit of time commuting between home and work. And so as far as plan A, I spend about 20 minutes each way in the car. And so I've got lots of time to listen to audiobooks and really think about things. I tend to not listen to music or anything else in the car. So it gives me a moment to reflect and think about how I can do things differently and to learn from other people. And so, like I say, I've been there quite a while, and just kind of continuing to push forward on that front, as well as exploring options for my book and being able to promote that and get the word out.
So on the one hand, you're a computer engineer, more about logical thinking and all that. On the other end, you've written a book on complacency and ambition and drive.
Right.
So how did that come about?
Really, a lot of it was that drive time university, what some people call it, and having time to listen to audiobooks or other programs. And really, I dug into a number of different things that talked about things like motivation, things like even behavioral economics and other things, just to kind of understand what made people tick and understand what motivates them, and to understand at least a little bit of the psychology of why people get motivated and others don't. And I think at least for me, the ones and zeros of engineering are relatively easy, right? All of the development that I have to do and the coding, that's always been relatively easy for me. But it's been really a challenge to work in the environment where there are people issues to deal with, and then equipment that doesn't work quite how we want it to, or there's some other problem going on. And it's that aspect of managing people and managing the tools and resources to figure out how to keep moving forward that really gives me the challenge. And so I started thinking about not just complacency, but what motivates people and why is it that some people really achieve these high levels of success and so many others don't.
So when you started listening to all this, or when you started delving deeper into this, where did this thing about putting it in a book format start?
It didn't start with me waking up and saying, "Hey, I'm going to go set out today to write a book or even outline a book and figure out something." It was really much more of me reflecting on things I'd learned from books like Mindset, which talks about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, and other books and other programs I've read. I had watched a number of Tai Lopez's 67 Steps, and also been pretty involved in my church as well, and thinking about how is it that a Christian can apply the growth mindset, or why is it that our Christian influenced society here in the U.S. and a lot of the Western world, why is it that we have this great tendency towards complacency? And so the first thing I did was I thought about the growth mindset, as I mentioned, and how that applied to the infinite God, and how is it that we're expected to grow and to develop. And so many people, whether they want God to do it or the universe or just some outside influence, they want that miracle. They want that zap. They want someone to say, hey, now you've got this, or you were born with this great talent. Well, so often it's not that talent that's important. It's the discipline and the being able to apply the right sort of practice to do it, and having the growth that comes with the growth mindset. And so one thing I looked at was David of the Old Testament, and how he really applied that growth mindset, or had it applied for him, where he spent time as a shepherd, and he started at first like killing shrubbery with practicing with his slingshot. And he'd practice with his slingshot and get good at stationary things, and get good at the targeting. And eventually he was good enough to kill the lion and the bear and other things, and be able to take out these big predators. But then over time, eventually he got called on to take out Goliath. And we still talk about David and Goliath. Well, the reality, as Malcolm Gladwell points out, is David brought a gun to a knife fight, and he had that standoff weapon capability where he was able to take out Goliath from a long ways off. And so with that sort of reflection on it, it really highlights he was prepared. He did all of the right things. The growth mindset was applied in his life, and he grew into a position. He wasn't just zapped to be able to take out Goliath. And so many people they want that zap. They want that external influence, or the gifting that someone got that they didn't. Well, so much of it is working at it. And even like Michael Jordan or Arnold Schwarzenegger, they all had these great successful careers, but a lot of that, some was built on the DNA they had and how they were made, but so much of it was the work and the deliberate practice that they applied to be able to be good at what they're doing.
You mentioned your 20-year career, and you mentioned all of this where you learned so much, and then you're looking at application, and you're looking at putting it in a book for others. When you look at your own career, how has this benefited you?
I think there's a number of areas. Part of it is I've continued to learn. I have not stopped trying to learn on the job, and whether it is learning from my teammates or from a program. I not only went to and got an undergrad degree in computer engineering, I got a master's degree in systems engineering, a master's of business administration. So I knew that I had that ability to continue growing and to prepare for the kinds of roles that I wanted, and to build up my skill set so that my skills reflected the money I wanted. And so before I can get the money, I have to have the skills to have the job that I want. And so a lot of it is just continually learning and applying that in my own life.
You mentioned a study guide that you're doing as well. And how does that relate to? What does the book essentially capture? And what do you plan to do with the study guide?
Yeah, so the book walks people through what complacency is, what the sources are. And so much of it is, it's either Western society or Christian influence on Western society or other things, or even just our own human nature that causes us to not want to be motivated. And just like the big cats of the African savannah, right? They like to lounge around and lay around all day, but occasionally they do have to get up and show off that blistering speed to be able to catch the meal. And so I think a lot of people, they have that kind of innate desire or feeling in their own minds where they want to conserve energy, but in order to be able to achieve more and to get the kinds of things that we long for and want, we have to go out and pursue that. And so it talks about the source of complacency and how to kill it. And then it moves into more of the resurrecting ambition as I talk about it. And again, there are so many things in society. On one hand, yes, there are absolutely people that pursue and are driven towards success, but there are so many others who have kind of pushed on them this complacency, or you have that drive, that ambition to do something, but it gets pushed down because very often, and it seems that some people see kind of the negative side of ambition coming through, and you see someone that really does cheat people, that doesn't provide value, Whereas really, if you're ambitious, you should be figuring out how to provide value so that you can receive that value in return. And so really it's having that responsible ambition rather than irresponsible ambition, and then not feeling bad about that ambition and not allowing some of these influences that kind of tell us to not pursue the ambition or to not push too hard, really getting that in the right position where you have the responsible ambition. You're pursuing something because you know it's the right thing to do and not because it's something that just seeks to make you rich or give you profit.
Now, when did you release the book?
It came out last summer. So like in the middle of COVID, I had been planning it for some time, and the plan was to launch it at a speaking event, and that got canceled, and this and that got canceled. But the book kept moving forward. And I had a great team that helped me with it. I stumbled upon a publisher that she helps people independently publish books. So it's not like it's a big publishing house, but it's someone who provides resources in terms of like cover design. I don't do that kind of creativity, and like the interior design, I'm not great at that. I can kind of do it if it's a Word document, it's okay, but the interior of the book looks a lot better than that. And then just bringing all those pieces together and putting it up on Amazon. And so it was really quite the process to go through and get it edited and cleaned up a little bit and then have that ready to go out. And I launched on July 6th.
And what's the feedback been? What are you hearing from the readers?
So if I get the right person, they just really click with that title of Killing Complacency and really want to learn more about it, and they're willing to dig into the book. But then a lot of people, they just miss out on, well, so what if I'm complacent? So what if I don't have that ambition? And so, it's been challenging to find people that want to have that ambition. And so it's been, I think for me, just an experience of getting that feedback, talking to a few people, and some people really like it, and it really clicks with them in terms of, yeah, I want more of that. I want to figure out how to move faster and to do better.
And what are your plans for the book, and what do you want to do going forward with this?
Yeah, so at the first of the year on Saturday mornings, I'll start having a book study. So we'll be going through the book. I've put together this participant workbook to talk about killing complacency and just some worksheets to go along with the study that we're doing. And I've also got a group study that I've designed. So if you don't want to be in my group study, you can start your own group, and people can go on my website and request that so that you have something to go along with and just something to spark the dialogue. I know some of the book studies I've been in, it's been pretty easy. You got people that read the book, you get together and someone says, hey, what do you guys think? And it just goes. But if you need something that's a little bit more structured and it provides people with talking points and things to kind of spark that discussion, I do have that available as well.
So one thing with complacency and you're delving into the personal growth space, Paul. Do you see this going forward? Do you want to be doing more, or what are your plans for the future?
Yeah, I tell people I was wired a little bit wrong, or at least I was developed a little bit differently. I love being in front of people. I love talking to people and sharing a message. And that's what I gravitate towards in my Plan A job. And when I get out there and I'm talking to someone and presenting some technical thing, I love it. When I am in front of people talking about complacency or talking about how to really rejuvenate that ambition that they have, I love that too. And so as things start to open up here in 2021, I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to share my message with more people. And really, whether it's on a virtual platform like this or on an actual physical stage with a real live audience in the room, either way is going to be great. And really, I look forward to doing more and more of this because I think there's so much more that we can do in this world. And if everyone had that responsible ambition, if everyone really pursued that instead of feeling bad about their ambition or feeling like they shouldn't have it, or other ways that it gets suppressed, then I think we can benefit so much more in this world. There's really no limit to the abundance out there. It's really having enough people producing more and more value, and then all of us can reap that abundance if we're all really pushing forward and trying to make things better in this world.
And if your readers were to ask you one takeaway from the book that would strike a chord with them, what would be your recommendation?
I guess maybe there's a couple, and I started touching on it a little bit with abundance, and really that we can save the debate on monetary supply and how it's supposed to work, but the way it should be working is as people provide more and more value, there's more and more money available. And so the trick is not getting your slice of the pie, but it's really about growing the pie overall. And the more value you can create, the more value you can retain for yourself. So if you are responsibly ambitious and get out there and provide value, then you can have that value returned to you in a monetary form too. So really it's pursuing that ambition in a good way that not only keeps you out of jail, it keeps you feeling good, and it allows you to benefit at the same time that you benefit other people.
In terms of where people can find the book, where do they go and look for it?
Yeah, the book's on Amazon. You can search Paul Huber or Killing Complacency. You can also go to pauljhuber.com or killingcomplacency.com, and the book's up there and it's available. I link to Amazon. I have a link if people happen to want an autographed copy. It's a little bit more, but that's something that's available. If they go to pauljhuber.com/MBM for Momentum Building Model, I have this Killing Complacency model that just kind of walks people through some of the things that we talked about today and provides some encouragement for them so that they can get a better idea of what's in the book.
And do you plan on writing more, Paul?
Yeah, I think this is something I can continue to pursue. So as we really get launched here with Killing Complacency and get the word out to other people, then that's something where I can spend a little bit more time writing more books. So really right now I spent a lot of spare time over the course of a year or two to be able to get the first book out. I'm spending a lot of spare time getting the word out about the book now. And so as all that energy put into my spare time starts to provide more and more of a return, I'll have more and more time available to create that next book. So I'm really looking forward to that and really hoping that I can continue sharing my message with the world and providing value in a way that helps a lot of people a little bit.
So, Paul, one thing with the pandemic and the upheaval that we have seen in 2020, and we're right at the cusp of 2021, and there's a lot of good news in terms of the vaccines and hopefully people going back to normalcy and all that at some point in the future. When you look at what you have written and when you talk about complacency, and now with time on people's hands, when they're staying home or being with their families, and of course there are challenges to be tackled, but what's your best advice in terms of what people can do with this time?
Yeah, I think the best thing they can do is use the opportunities that they have. There's certainly challenges. There are definitely things holding people back and making it tougher. But flipping that around, what are the avenues where you can succeed, where you can have an impact on others? How can you help someone in a way that provides value that makes them want to pay you? And so figuring that out, I think, is what's going to be important for people so they can make the most of the situation and really continue to grow and to improve. And if you do things that keep you at least above water, if you will, and able to provide for yourself, then and the activities go away and all of the sporting events, what can you do with that spare time? Instead of watching TV, instead of reading a fiction book that maybe doesn't add a lot of value, take some time, read my book, read other books, and figure out how to grow and figure out how to take advantage of the time that's on your hands.
Absolutely. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your book, and where people can find it. I'm sure a lot of the listeners will go and check it out. And some of them might be interested in your group study sessions as well. So I look forward to keeping in touch and wish you the very best as you move forward.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for having me. I'm really hoping to continue to share the word and get the message out because I think there's so much more that we can do.
Hey, I hope you liked that episode. Please do check out Plan B Success Podcast on your favorite listening platforms. It's also available on www.planb.live. If you're looking to learn how to podcast and learn everything there is to ideate, create, launch, and monetize a podcast, do get in touch through the website www.planb.live, and I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you very much.